Hey guys, welcome aboard, welcome back, welcome home. As always, completely and totally dependent on where you happen to be in relation to this energy, to this channel, to this new moon. So what we're going to talk about right this moment is the new moon that's happening on the 27th of August, 2022. It's rolling in at 3:17 a.m. Central Time. And it is coming on the heels of a Sun square Mars and a Moon square Mars. And then the Sun and Moon meet up, which of course is the celestial definition of a new moon, where the Sun and the Moon occupy the same space in the cosmos, zodiacally. Wow. At 4 degrees Virgo, let's put it that way. So what I want to start out by telling you is this. I think the theme of this new moon is discernment versus judgment, right? In terms of the art of compromise, okay? So let's talk about Virgo energy first. Virgo energy is this, wow. Virgo energy is all about the intellect, right? It's discerning. It is very, very capable. It's highly concerned with order, with improvement, with self-improvement, with systems and doing things the right way. Did you hear my air quotes there? The right way. Virgo is super hardworking. It's very, very detail-oriented, and it's very efficient and meticulous, right? Virgo is all about service. The Virgo Pisces axis, right? Pisces being the opposite sign of Virgo in the zodiac. That axis is all about serve or suffer. So Virgo is really dedicated and devoted to service, right? I like to call Virgo energy Priestess energy, simply because I believe that that's what really priestesses are devoted to, all of those things. Hello, thank you. Some of the harder aspects of Virgo energy are that they tend to be witnessed as picky or fussy or nitpicky or even naggy, right? As perfectionists, as a little bit standoffish, as sometimes critical or analytical or skeptical. Well, here's the deal. The reason that Virgo has that tendency is because Virgo is all about standards, right? Standards, right? We set the benchmark, we set the bar, and that's our standard. And it's very, very challenging for a Virgo to look away from something that is not meeting standards. And I think that that's quite lovely, honestly. Especially when we're talking about service, right? And the fact of the matter is, you know, I have some very serious Virgo energy in my life, in the people around me. And if you want to ask a way to improve something, or the way to do something better, or a way to do something differently, if you're not getting great results, I mean, ask a Virgo. They are going to be able to not just tell you, but to tell you why, and then to give you advice on how to up-level your game. So I'm just saying, if you want really good advice, ask a Virgo, because Virgos just know, y'all. They just know. So let's talk a little bit more about this. Like I said, both the Sun and the Moon aspect Mars. They square Mars, and then they come together for this new moon just moments later, right? So Mars is all about getting things done, right? It's about fuel. It's about how we put the motor in our motivation. It's the reason why we can do a thing, intend a thing, and then manifest it, right? That's Mars energy. So the square is offering that dynamic tension. And I believe that a square is really just creating that dynamic tension. And if you can master both poles of that energy, both sides of that square, then you can put that into action, right? So if we're talking about Mars and Gemini, this is about limitless possibility. And we're talking about the moon and the sun in Virgo. This is about service, 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 and function, function, function. So this is how can you narrow down your picky, fussy, hypercritical, over-the-top energies, right? Because let's face it, Gemini is a beautiful energy in terms of its ability to wrangle the limitless and witness the limitless. What it doesn't do so well is really choose what to do. And when you are witness to all of that potential, sometimes it's very hard to narrow down one path and take it. So with the sun and the moon, of course, your identity and your feelings, your will and your emotions kind of playing into that, it's easy, right, to get bogged down. So let's talk about what else is happening in the sky. We've got a fixed grand cross, right? Which is really exciting. We've got Saturn in opposition to Venus. Saturn, of course, in Aquarius, Venus in Leo. And then we've got the North and South nodes in Scorpio and Taurus. And then we still have Uranus sitting there in Taurus as well. Very close. I mean, they're only 2 degrees apart at this point. So here's the deal. We've got Saturn opposed to Venus and the South node opposed to the North node and Uranus. You know, all square and crossed up with one another. It's beautiful geometry of the pyramid, right? So here's the deal. What are you creating, or what have you created? And how can you change it? How can you allow it to change? What is not working, or what is not working well in your current manifestation, right? And is any of that supporting or not supporting the future that you're conjuring? And what does that all mean? Well, look at your situation, right? Look at your situation. What's not working? How is it either creating or recreating a thing that you want or don't want? What do you prefer? What are you trying to shift and change out of? With Saturn and Uranus and Venus alongside the nodes here, this is really all about how can you bring your 3D manifestations down into your current life. What can you change? And right now, change is so available. Change is so available. We have the South Node quincunxing Chiron, which is asking you, are you leading with your wounds or are you leading with your healing, right? It's just a question. You get to pick. We have the Sun and Moon quincunxing Jupiter, right? Do you have the wisdom to discern your next right step, right? You have to balance, thank you. You have to balance your head and your heart. You have to balance your knowledge and your experience. This is how we get to wisdom, right? We don't lead with just one side or the other. Then we get off balance. So in order to really create something of wholeness, we have to consider the whole sum total of you, right? It has to be taken into consideration. Everything, everything, everything. We have Mercury trining Mars, right? So here's the deal. We've got Mercury in Libra and that Gemini Mars. This is all about ideology, right? So Mercury, communications, Mars, function, putting things out into the world. So how do you shift the ideology? How do you shift your ideology, right? The thing is, we shift the ideology and the expression has to follow. We can't have a shift in form without first having a shift in idea, right? It just doesn't happen. Wow, okay, thank you. And because we have Venus trining Chiron, right? So this is asking us to pay a little attention to, excuse me, to the beauty of our 3D experience, right? Venus, of course, being that beautiful goddess of all things sensual, right? What we see, what we taste, what we smell, what we hear, what we touch, and what touches us. So that beauty of our 3D experience must be part of our picture of health, picture of healing, and picture of wholeness. It just must be. There's no other way if you want to live a life that is not only sustainable, but one that fulfills you on every level. Also, Mars is sextiling Jupiter, right? So getting back to our concept about shifting the ideology is the amplification, right? This is the basis for our action. And with that Mars in Gemini, we have nothing but limitless potential. Limitless potential, right? And so here's getting back to that concept that we talked about discernment and judgment and the art of compromise. I would also like to say we have Saturn squaring Uranus, right? And we dealt with that for quite a while now. And the deal is that reevaluation of our values, right? I've said this phrase quite a bit, but this is about our chosen values, right? Our chosen values. And if we're talking about the basis for all action and limited possibilities, right? Limitless possibilities. The question then becomes, have you chosen your values? Have you reevaluated your values with that Saturn-Uranus square? Have you? And if not, right, as that they sit in this grand cross with Venus and the nodes at this point in time, there is no better time. Right? There is no better time to choose your values than right now. And if you want to circle back to the driving energy of Virgo at this new moon, right? Virgo is offering you the opportunity, right? The opportunity to get right with your values. Right? Get right with your values. Where are you in integrity or out of integrity? And if you haven't chosen your values yet, the thing is you're not. You're just kind of floating around, not in a position to choose. But if you have aligned your values, then you simply circle back here and realign, right? Get right with your values and live your life in alignment with them. So at this Virgo new moon, utilizing your discernment over your judgment, right? And finding a way not only to, not only to create that as your true north, right? But your service. Where are you dedicating yourself? How are you putting these things into action? What is your right way, right? If you don't know your right way, you can't act in accordance with it. But if you do know your right way, if you have reevaluated your values, then you have the opportunity to act accordingly no matter what, right? Oh, let's have this conversation here. So we have the Knight of Cups and the King of Swords. Knight of Cups is all about self-sufficiency. This is all about being able to fill your own cups. Virgo energy, Priestess energy right here. The King of Swords is about cutting away anything that is not in alignment with your ideas, right? So with this Mars and Gemini squaring the new moon, we are here to cut out anything that is not serving us in our alignment, in our highest order, in our quest for the right system, the right way, the efficient living of our own lives, so much so that it fills all of our cups, right? Nine of Cups is a super happy card. This is about I am happy with me. I am doing the right things for me, right? And this is cutting out anything that is not in alignment with that statement. We have strength. We've got the King of Cups. Okay, so strength is about taming the beast, right? Taming the beast within. So I don't really love the term get right with your demons, because I don't believe we have demons. I believe that we have unhealthy patterns or behaviors or traumas or things that are lodged or embedded in our psyche or our soul that we need to simply work on, right? That we need to identify, that we need to find and understand, right? And make peace with, right? To have have a conversation with, so that we tame that inner turmoil. That, I believe, is the Strength card. How do you get strong? You do the work, right? So we've got the King of Cups here. This is about how we master our emotional balance. And how do we do that? Well, we do that by dealing with all of those things that we just talked about, right? What are you creating? What have you created? How can you shift it? Is it in alignment with your values? Are you living your life in alignment with your values, right? What are your ideologies? Are you expressing your ideologies? Are you amplifying your integrity? Is that your basis for action? Well, I would hope so with these two kings here. I would definitely hope so. But this is about getting in alignment. So we've also got the Hierophant and the Two of Cups. We have a lot of cups here, y'all. Wow, a whole lot. A whole lot. Dog, Venus, hello. So the Hierophant is about what have you been told and what have you discerned for yourself, right? So we have some things that are passed along to us, right? Things that we are told or that we are taught or that we simply witness and take into our patterning, whether or not we have considered it as, is this the right thing? Is this what I want to embody? Is this making me happy? Is this fulfilling me? Is this my story? Is this my teaching? Is this my experience? Or does it belong to someone else, right? And if it is your story, if you have sat down, sat with it, thought about it, weighed it against, this is my experience and this is the story I've been told. And if those things are true and you don't love it, then you get to change it. If those things are false, like this is someone else's story and it's not my experience, then you get to put it down. You don't have to carry it anymore, right? With that South Node in direct to Chiron, what are you leading with? Are you leading with the story of your health, or are you leading with the story of your wounds? You get to pick. You get to pick. And the key is make sure the story is yours, right? Make sure you're not telling someone else's story. Because as we have that new moon quincunx to Jupiter, the wisdom to discern that next right step, right? Are you taking the sum total of you into account, into consideration? Are you leading with your knowledge and experience, right? Are you leading with your head and heart? Are you leading with somebody else's? So this is where we have to have that conversation about the unexamined life. Have you examined yours? Have you chosen your story? Have you chosen your values? Or has someone handed it to you? We've got the Two of Cups that is next to this, and so this is a card that's all about divine love, right? This is a card of divinely blessed union. So who in your life is telling you the story of your highest and best? Who in your life is telling you the story of your heart and your soul? Are they speaking it in accordance with your highest? Or are they speaking it in an old story, something that's outdated, something that's actually not part of you? The beauty of your 3D experience must be part of your health, of your healing and your wholeness. And if it's not, right, we have Mercury trining Mars. You get to retell that story. You get to remake that action. You get to redo it. If you don't like it, you're the editor. You get to choose. And if you haven't chosen, there is no better time. Who do you love? Who loves you? Right? Get right with that. Get right with that. Really, really, really. Then we've got two Knights of Cups. Look at that. Come on. Okay, Knight of Cups is about how are you moving in alignment with those things that feed your soul? How are you moving in alignment with the depth of your emotional health, the depth of love, right? We also want to look right here at our Venus involvement in that Grand Cross, because Venus is squaring the North Node. Venus is squaring Uranus and the North Node, right? This allows us to shift anything that's not in alignment, and her opposition to Saturn gives you the leverage to do it in alignment with your highest and best. In addition, she's trining Chiron, asking you, up level, dump out that cup if it's not serving you, if it's not filled with love, if it's filled with anything less than love, it's full of poison and you've got to get rid of it, right? We're not going to drink that. No, no, no. So this asks you to be sure that the way you're moving forward is in accordance with your values, your story, your truth, right? Your analysis, Virgo, your capacity, your discernment, right? Your discernment is key. And here's the deal, 7.5 billion ways, right? We know that it's 7.8 now. It might be 7.9. I don't really know. I haven't checked recently, but this is your discernment. No one else's. Nobody gets to tell you how to live in integrity. Nobody gets to tell you how to circle back to your values. Nobody gets to tell you how to act accordingly. Nobody gets to tell you what your story is. Nobody gets to tell you what your experience is. Nobody gets to tell you where you found your wisdom, right? That's your ideology. That's your expression, and they follow suit. Wow, she's gorgeous, huh? She's a beautiful mermaid. I love her. Let's see what she's got to say. She's lovely. All right, look at that. Oh, beautiful. This is curiosity, comparisons, and dissatisfaction. It's very Virgo. One of the most tragic things I know about human nature is that all of us tend to put off living. We're all dreaming of some magical rose garden over the horizon instead of enjoying the roses that are blooming outside our windows today. Dale Carnegie, right? So, here is what this oracle has to tell us. We are driven at first by curiosity and then by dissatisfaction to consider alternatives to our present circumstances. Sure we are. The grass appears to be greener on the other side of the fence, or so we believe, and so it is with this visual take on the tale of the Little Mermaid. The glass sphere provides her with a means of briefly experiencing another world, and much like a vacation away from home or a brief foray into a different lifestyle, the experience can prove to be intoxicating. It may turn out to be something that leaves us discontent, or it may provide us the impetus to move on and to make changes permanent. But we should be wary and consider carefully whether or not we would truly belong in this new environment. We should try to judge it for what it would be in reality. The attraction and appeal of those brief encounters may not survive a lengthier commitment. So here's the deal. We do have a lot of cups. We do have a lot of contemplation about our feelings and what brings our heart peace and satisfaction. We also have these two kings, right, which is all about mastery. This is mastery of ideology and mastery of your heart, your feelings. And as we have this conversation about Virgo energy, right, this is all about discernment versus judgment. Discernment versus judgment. This is how we put both of these things into action, right? Both of these things into action. What is feeding my soul? Where am I in alignment, right? How am I creating my best life by doing my work? Those are questions only you can answer. Only you can answer. And the best way to answer them is through that examination, right? We're holding everything up in the light of love. Everything that we've done, said, heard, felt, thought in our lifetimes. Hold it up. Is this in my divine order? And if it's not, guess what? You dump it out. Find something that is. That's the way it works. Right? Just make sure that it's sustainable. And if it's not sustainable, right, we talked about this. If it's not sustainable for you, if it's not bringing you all of that fulfillment, if it's not in alignment with your highest and best, with your values, with your true north, then it's probably not the ideology or the choice or the potential or the timeline that you want to invest your energy in. If you're not creating something that you love, that brings you joy, that makes your heart and soul happy, right? Then you might want to take that into consideration as you create the basis for your action and amplification, right? Discernment and judgment. It's all yours. Big blessings. Happy new moon, y'all.